Hello everyone, this is the assembly guide for the Pachinko Dice Tower. So what you're going to get is a bag of wooden parts. You're going to get a set of plastic dice, 8 little magnets for the lid, and 1 rubber band. What you're going to need is going to be some sort of glue. I like to use Elmer's glue wall. It happens to be a really nice consistency. And applies really well. You can also use wood glue. I would not recommend school glue, but you can try it if you want. You also need I use a small hammer, but you can use a screwdriver or anything really. Sometimes you'll need an Xacto blade, not always necessary, and just a set of scissors. Also, if there are any touch-ups you need to do, a black Sharpie tends to do really well. So first thing you want to do, take out all your parts and take a look at them. Sometimes they're going to need a little extra help from the laser, or the laser cutter is going to need a little extra help from you. We'll see how this kit goes. So dump out all the parts. Make sure you have a nice clear work area. First is going to be the base. This, you'll see here, the catapult goes here and the backboard goes this way. Make sure each piece has a sort of a main side and a B side. You'll notice the B side has a couple char marks on it. So in the case of the bottom one, you'll want to have the B side facing up so that the bottom of the box looks good. That's still your choice. Push out any pieces that are stuck in holes. Just like this. You'll notice sometimes the pieces don't clear perfectly, and so you'll want to use a blade to just finish off that cut. There we go. This one's good. This one's the top, and you can see I'm missing. Oh yeah, that was just a little bit still attached, but it looks like all the holes came out nice on that. And so there we go. That's some pretty wood. This is the top of the box, and you'll want to put the pegs onto this side because the logo goes outside the box. This is one of the side pieces. You can see it's got a slot to put the top in and a hole for this ramp piece at the bottom. This one looks good. This one's still got that piece in there. That looks good too. Okay. You'll also see there will be a lot of pegs. This is the back piece right here. So this goes on the rear of the box. And this is the front piece. You'll notice it's got a hole for the catapult to move up and down in. These are slots for the sides of the catapult. Here is the ramp piece, and it looks like I need to cut that piece a little extra. So let me just get in there with the knife. Cut there, and you should be able to just pop it out once you've got an extra cut there. Clean up the edges a bit sometimes. Now I may have done this already if you purchased a kit, but always a good idea to check again. So there's that ramp piece, and yeah, the edges look good. You'll find at least 4 of these paddle pieces. They go on the top there. Generally, I cut a couple extras just in case the cut on one of them fails, because you can never rely on anything completely. Here are the side pieces for the catapult. Notice that they've got slots for the rubber bands to go in, or the rubber band to go through. Make sure that's clear but not too wide. If it's too wide, the rubber band doesn't stick in there, and if it's too thin, the rubber band doesn't go in. So that's one of the ones that needs to be somewhat precise. And you'll have 2 of those pieces. Here's the end of the catapult, or rather here's the catapult arm, and here's the top of the basket. They go together like this. When we get to the gluing phase, that's the first step. This is a very important piece. It holds down the end of the catapult, and if this one's installed tilted at all, the catapult launcher will always be tilted, so you'll always want to make sure to check that. I'll mention it again. All right, so you will also find at least 14 of these pieces. I usually print an extra 5 or 6. just again because they have a lot of cut edges and they can fail. And you'll also notice that there are a bunch of extra pieces. These are just extra holes and stuff that came off of the cut. Don't get rid of them just yet, mostly because some of them you might mistake the pegs for trash or any of that. It's also useful. These little sticks are really great for spreading the glue or getting off the excess. So I recommend, before you get started and gluing things, I'm going to sort of speed run this, but you should watch through the video and try and assemble it dry first, and that's always a good idea when you're making wood things, just to make sure you have a feel for how everything goes together. So you can go ahead and watch through the video once and now come back to here so that you can see how to put the rest together. Like I said, there's sort of an A side and a B side. You can see this has a repair in it. It's not the sort of thing you want on the bottom of the box because you want it to look pretty on the outside, and it's less obvious on the inside because all the parts are there. So what I like to do is have it like that. The first step though is gluing this guy. So you notice that there's a wood grain on the circle part, and I like to line those up. And when you start gluing, let me open up my glue here. I like to only partially open up the glue here so that it comes out slowly, because it otherwise flows out very quickly. So what you want to do is find the B side of the ring, which will have a little bit of char on it. It doesn't really matter that much, but it's nice to have the nice side facing up. And put glue right around the edge like that, and stick it on here. Make sure the grain is lined up just like that, and press it on. There's always excess glue. You can, especially with glue all, it's nice because you can just rub it with your fingers. The glue all does, it is white right now, but it dries clear, which is really great because it's invisible when it's dry. But you can clearly see that it's a definitely good wood joint that has glue coming out all on the side, out of all sides. Then I do the gluing on here. Now, significantly, you want to glue every place there's going to be wood touching except for right here in the middle. So the way the catapult works is that it is stuck into this gap here and it moves up and down. So you want to be absolutely certain there is no glue in this spot right here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that glue, stick it down here. And I don't glue into the slots just because it gets down to the bottom and can get messy onto the bottom surface. And it's not really necessary because we're gluing every other spot. And so these tabs are really for structural support and making sure that the pieces go in the right spot. So again, going up here and across and not putting glue into that little gap. There we go. Okay, so the next thing I like to do is glue this. Notice that the text is on the A side, so you want to flip it over to the B side and get glue right here and right here. So this is where the two sides of the catapult go on. Let me turn this down a little bit so you can see where I'm working. Here we go. Okay. Now grab the two sides of the catapult here. They're sort of triangle shaped. Remember that the tabs on that side go down with the tabs on the back or on the front piece. So you just put it on there like that. Okay. Spin it around and put that front piece in. Now this is the trickiest part of the gluing. You put in the front panel, but don't put the side panels in. You'll notice they're still like gapped out a little bit, so they're not straight into the pegs, and that is, or into the holes. That is because you need to put the catapult in and put it down, and that goes through the front piece and back so that it's in that slot. Now you need to grab the cross piece here, the catapult cross piece. Now, it doesn't really matter which way is forward with this one because it's very not visible in the final construction. Do put glue across the front of it, both sides of this tabs here, and a dot on either side of these tabs here. Put glue up in the upper corners as well. And this one, it's just important for this thing to stay in well, and then flip it over and put glue on the tabs just like that. Okay, so again, you have glue on either sides of the bottom tabs and the fronts of these two side tabs and up in the corners up here. So you stick that in. Again, make sure not to get glue on the catapult. It's not the end of the world if you do, but you'll have to make sure you keep moving it while the glue dries if you end up getting glue on the catapult. So put everything in, push it down nicely. You can see that all of the tabs are engaged, the glue is sticking out. It's a big sticky mess, but that's totally okay. The more glue that runs out, the more glue has stayed in the right spot. The next up is the side panels. Gonna turn this way. Make sure that you know that the inside, or identify the A and the B sides on this. This is the B side, and you can see that the slot is on the catapult side. So I want to spin that around and put that over here. And this one definitely matches right there. So the gluing on this is a little simpler. You want to put glue on the front tabs right here and right here, and then on the inside right here, which attaches it to the front and back panels. Oops, it's showing off there. There we go. So you can see here there's glue on the tab here and on the outside again, and make sure that glue is on the tab that goes on the inside. So what I like to do to fit in this panel is actually stick in the tab on the back and then push down a little bit. It levers up and pulls the front panel out, just enough for me to slide the tabs in. And again, don't worry about the back sticking out because we're still working on that. Go ahead and glue in the other one. Again, gluing the inner portion of the tabs and on here and here. You can see just like that. And on this side, again, on the inner tab and on the mating surface on that. So once you've got that glued in, pop it in, slide it down, use it as a lever, and put it in. And there we go. You'll notice here that the ends of these tabs are not in all the way, or the ends of the side panels are not in all the way. That's because we need to put in this piece. Now this one, I don't usually put glue on the front, I just put glue on the back so that it looks pretty and still sort of has a looseness to it that allows it to make a sound. Something about the Pachinko Dice Tower is it makes nice noises while they're clicking down, and that's very fun. Go ahead and stick one side of the tab in and the other side. At this point, you want to stick everything down a little bit more so it all stays together. And then the last panel, you don't have to glue anything on there because we have glue on all the surfaces. So go ahead and stick that in. Sometimes a little fiddly, you have to pull the side panels up a little bit to engage with the tabs, and you'll get good at that. And there we go. So that's the basic form of the box. You can see there's glue everywhere. And so at this point, this is where you sort of run your finger across everything and pull off the glue wherever you can. Luckily, this glue is very washable off of hands, but not washable off of wood. And just, wipe it wherever you can. Probably, a paper towel or a wet wipe works really well too. So that's off the outside, and to get it out of these seams, you can just take one of the little stick pieces and just run it right along there, and it makes a beautiful bead of glue. Again, get rid of the glue somehow. I don't mind it on my hands, so it's a very easy way to get rid of it. It comes off really easily off of hands anyway, so don't even worry. That's specifically for glue all. If you're using something else, well, you'll have to figure that out for yourself. So once all the glue is figured out here, again, just keep cleaning off the glue beads. You don't necessarily have to do this step because the glue does dry clear. Wood glue, not so much, but you can decide how you want to do that. And there we go. So that's mostly done. Try and, err on the side of a little bit of excess glue on the catapult side just because it needs to be really strong and stay together well. But again, it's your choice as far as the aesthetics go. At this point, you're going to want to use the rubber band here to hold everything together. And so just grab the rubber band and expand it around the box and tighten it up. Now, a few times while it's drying, you'll want to just make sure everything's pressed down nice and strong. Just like that. You'll also, and I save this for the last because the magnets get a little bit difficult to work with, especially when they're covered in glue. So 4 of the magnets need to go in here and 4 of them into the lid. While this is drying temporarily, actually we want to start with the magnets on the lid because we want to be able to check the alignment on the magnets, and we can't do that with glued down magnets because they'll fall out. So what you want to do is take your stack of magnets. I usually like to stick it to something metal because that means I know which side is which, because if the magnets are misaligned between the lid and the base, the lid will not attach. So what you want to do is stick 1 magnet at a time into the top panel, into the bottom of the top panel. Notice you can't see the logo here. And just stick them in. Some of them will need to take a little force, some of them won't, and just make it stuck in so that the magnet is in the right spot and in the right alignment. There we go. You can see again that the magnets are in. This one is not in all the way, and I'm just gonna hit that with a hammer. That works. And put in the last one. Notice that I've still got it stuck to the scissors, so I'm very certain that they haven't flipped over. So once you've got the magnet in, slide it off to the right, and notice that I've got 4 left. You might accidentally stick 2 magnets in, and if you do, you need to push it out because you only want 1 magnet in each side. Then you flip it over, make sure that the magnets aren't stuck in too far. You can again use the same stick for that, and put a little glue dot in with the magnets just to make sure that they stay in very well. So there you go, the magnets are all in. Now, you will notice that I still have it stuck to the magnet stuck to the scissors. That's because I need to flip the magnets over just once. So, flipping them over once very carefully, and you can check that to make sure the magnets do not attract to the lid. That's important because we're sticking them in here, and if they don't attract to the lid right here, when we put them into the base and flip the lid over, they will attract, and that's important. So what we need to do is put glue dots in each of the magnet slots in the base. Move this and bring it closer. Here we go. Glue dots into each of the spots of the base. And we need to glue down the magnets. So this is a little tricky because all the magnets all want to stick together, but we want to get them divided so that they're all in the base separately. So what you're going to want to do is stick it, and this sort of works better like that. Stick the magnet in the slot and then push the other magnets off to the side. And that allows you to stick the magnet in, and I like to pinch the glue over top of the magnet just so that it holds it extra securely. And you can, of course, do what you want. If you are using super glue to put this together, you will notice that magnets do not stay well with super glue. In fact, I don't like to use super glue at all with these projects, just because super glue likes to dry really thin and it absorbs into wood really well. Which means a lot of the glue is just missing when you're done. So in that, if you use the slide to the side technique, the magnets go in pretty easily. You will have trouble with this. I had trouble with it to begin with, and just by assembling tower after dice tower, sort of got the hang of it. So hopefully you can get the feel for it. So that's the base, and the base is done. Now we can assemble the top. Now this is pretty straightforward compared to the base. All you need to do is take each of the pieces and put glue on them all around the peg part. You can be generous with that, or just to keep it nice and sturdy. Just having enough glue is important. And as long as you keep glue around the edge and don't put it on the end, you're not going to leak glue down into the bottom. You'll still want to check that just because it can mar the surface a little bit. Here we go. So you can do all the paddles first, or you can just do the pegs first. It's really your choice. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure to do it fast enough that the glue is still wet at the end, so that you can do the adjustments all at once. Otherwise, it might be a little difficult, and you'll have to re-glue some stuff if you need to. And here we go. So I'm just going around every single peg and making sure it's glued well. These things need to be strong because dice are going to be hitting them repeatedly. All right, so that's all the pegs. You're probably going to have a bunch of extra pegs. You don't need those. You can get rid of them now. Now this is a really important step. You need to sight down the lines of the pegs and make sure they're straight. So you can see as I move this, you can see that many of them are just not straight, not pointed up and down. So you just look along those lines and align them with one eye. In this case, it's easy because I have a camera. And as you line them all up together, you can see this row right here. You can see very clearly where they're off and misaligned. This one, for example, back here is just a little bit out. For the paddles, just push them in a little bit. They don't have to be very far in, but as long as they're not hitting the box edges. So once that looks all straight, this one there, I'm going to pull this paddle back a little bit. Turn it to the side like this and make sure they're aligned that way and vertical. Again, that's looking pretty good. Often the pegs will be pushed this way or that way, so you just want to make sure that they're perfectly straight and seated. This one right here, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so once they're perfectly straight, or at least they're straight enough that you feel like they're right, go ahead and set it aside and let it dry. And at that point, you will be mostly done. The catapult rubber band needs to be put on, and I can show you guys that step in a moment. But for now, just for now, go ahead and set it aside and let the glue dry a little bit so everything's nice and firm. Okay, now that the glue is dry and through the magic of editing, I've swapped to this silver box. You're going to want to pull off the rubber band gently, don't let it fly across the room. Inspect everything for proper joints, especially this guy right here. The cross piece needs to be pushed down all the way and perfectly aligned. You can check that it's sticking through exactly the right amount. You'll see that the catapult is loose. If it is not loose and got some glue on the bottom, just wiggle it till it's nice and loose, and it should be fine. What you're going to want to do next is to thread the rubber band. So you're going to take the rubber band that I gave you, or a new one if you want, give it a cut, and flip over the box. Now you'll see that there's this hole right here that accesses the bottom of the catapult. You just want to stick the rubber band through on one side and then through on the other side. Now if you're making a bunch of these, you can use one rubber band for all of them, or for 3 of them instead of one rubber band for one. But you see you've got the rubber band sticking out on either side of the catapult. So take one loose end of the rubber band, stretch it, and pull it down through the slot. As you release it, it's going to thicken up and get stuck in the slot. Pull the other side and do the same thing. And try and get sort of a medium level of tension. You would get a feel for it after a while. It doesn't really matter to begin with, because you can adjust it. So take the top panel, go ahead and put it up, and take your dice, and specifically the D20. The D20 is the one you want to calibrate for. Put it in the catapult basket, and go ahead and, let me move the camera up here, and go ahead and shoot it. As you can see, let's see here. That one's actually pretty good. It's a little bit low. So if it's a little bit low, pull out the rubber band on one side, just a little bit, just barely, and try again. As you try again, you'll either see that it's too high or too low. This one, it could be a little higher, so I'm going to keep pulling it. And if you pull it too much, you will definitely know, because it will shoot all the way over the top. If that's the case, grab the rubber band on the inside and just pull it out. Same thing, keep trying until you get a bunch of nice, flawless catapults. That's looking really good. Okay. That one hit a peg. That does happen. Okay, I'm happy with that. So once you're happy with that, just cut off the loose end of the rubber band, and you are all set. So pack the dice in. You can try it with other dice too. When I launched too strong, that was too weak. Again, you'll get a feel for how to launch them. Go ahead and put the D20 and the 12 and the 6 all in one spot. Actually put the 6 at the front. It's just a little easier. The rest in the right. And you can put it away just by taking off the top, sticking it down. At this point, if you put in the magnets right, it should stick and stick really nice there. And there you have it. Enjoy your dice tower.